COP27, a historical decision has been taken on the Climate Change Conference. After movement on a historic agreement to compensate developing nations for the suffering from global warming, the COP27 climate negotiations in Egypt, which had looked to be on the edge of collapse on Saturday morning, were set for a last-minute accord. The idea would create new finance for the expense of climate disasters the following year. In exchange, Europe pressed for stricter wording about emission reductions. Modifications were accepted for that portion of the accord after hours of haggling with nations including China, Brazil, and Saudi Arabia, bringing a final drought closer. As per the experts, the U.S. intervened late to suggest that the agreement should contain a demand to phase out all uncontrolled fossil fuels, as authorities in a closed-door conference discussed the final text to bring to the concluding public session for approval. The wording last agreed upon in Glasgow, which just provided for the process of coal, would be significantly expanded upon if it survives. Challenges. The Egyptian COP27 leadership presented a draft document for an overall settlement after heated talks early on Sunday. Meanwhile, it conveyed a summit meeting to give it thought as the ultimate underlying accord for the UN summit. The briefing adopted the text proposal to establish a loss and damage fund to assist developing nations in paying the direct costs of climatically induced calamities like storms and floods. However, it deferred many of the firm's more contentious choices until the following year, when a provisional group issued recommendations that nations would be required to enact at the COP28 climate conference in November 2023. For over a decade, developing countries have been asking for help with loss and damage, financial assistance to rescue and rebuild stricken countries after climate-related disasters. But rich countries have until now refused, providing limited cash instead to help them cut greenhouse gas emissions and build defenses against extreme weather. Developing nations have requested aid with loss and damage or financial support for more than 10 years to rescue and reconstruct affected nations following a climate-related calamity. But wealthy nations have so far resisted, giving developing countries scant financial aid to assist them in reducing greenhouse gas emissions and constructing barriers from severe weather. Jean Su said, "Spirits are high," and the Energy Justice Director at the Center for Biological Diversity said, "Climate-vulnerable nations and civil society are beaming any big step forward on creating a loss and damage fund more than a decade in the making." Chile's Environment Minister, Maisa Roja, referred to the fund as a historical step. However, the EU, the US, and UK and other nations agreed to principle that a financial mechanism for loss and damage should be established. According to Mohamed Adaw, COP27 has done what no other COP has achieved and created a loss and damage fund to support the most impacted communities of climate change. That's it for today. Thanks for watching and have a great day.